I felt the year 2000 coming. This was before they were really hyping the whole there's going to be a crash for Y2K, but I could already feel the tension.
Right after September 11th, I left Seattle on a short trip. Like everybody just needed to have a word with myself.
I remember waking up the next morning in Port Townsend and having been like dismasted like the day before, and the same storm was passing over us. So we had driven down so quickly that it hit us twice. And then the next morning, I woke up and I was walking down the street in Port Townsend and I see land for sale in Marrowstone Island. Went and looked at it and just knew the minute that I saw it. The sign, and I was like, oh, cool. You know, look at that. These people out here have the same philosophy as me. That's really cool. So it was like this shipwreck and then the land the next day, pretty much. You know, I have no idea how to survive without, you know, a whole series of industrial crutches, you know. I just really wanted to learn more about that.
I was trying to make a living as a musician in Seattle, and it was just really hard.
What happens in a society, you know, where the arts, and the essence of creativity as the expression of creativity as humans, is considered the lowest priority. There's so much activist work to do. How do you possibly deal with the roots of the problem, which is like techno-industrial, you know, corporate control over what happens to our natural environment?
The natural world, or how does permaculture or ecology intersect with dance in the studio?
To start like a community, it didn't have the name bcollective. 4 years actually trying to experience creating community. People that are sharing their sustenance, that they depend on each other to create their livelihood and their sustenance.
My vision has just opened up, and my music has really swung into that world, into being more for children, and, you know, having either positive messages for children or fun, playful messages or educational. All this stuff has kind of shifted after landing on Marrowstone. Sustainability is something that I can do for a long time.
And I like to go, okay, I'm just going to come back to my body. What's my body telling me to do? How do I even start listening to my body when, you know, our culture tells us to denigrate the body?
As you go to the we, you know, we're getting to a point where we're seeing certain effects on our climate. You know, everyone's talking about it. We're learning that our lifestyles or our habits or cultural ways are not sustainable. We can't continue to go on consuming.
They say that you should be on a piece of land for at least 1 year, preferably 3, to see the seasons go by and see what systems are already in place that you can plug into, rather than just coming in and wiping the slate clean. You don't depend on your neighbor directly anymore, so you don't have to interact with them on a deep level every day. And so all that social infrastructure that we once had was left to atrophy. We haven't flexed that muscle in a long time, and so now we're going, well, we need to make these sustainable communities. We have all our science, let's just do it. It's like, it doesn't work that way. Working on the social landscape to me, it's the most important thing that I can do, because that's the limiting factor. Bringing your art into your life, you know, that's how we approach activism. You know, it's not something that you do and then not do. No, it's something that you're being mindful of that all the time. Trying to share that language and get artists to realize that, hey, you're actually learning about natural systems. Now you can go out and use that knowledge that is now incarnate. You know, you've put that into your flesh. Now you can go use that to apply to the landscape or apply to, you know, the social landscape. This is how the arts and the human body relate to each other. This is why there's such a parallel, because they're both organic systems. And when I'm referring to the body-based arts here, arts that have no media between the conception of the art and the expression of it, or between the artist. There's no camera in between it. There's not even a canvas and a paintbrush in between the art and the artist. So it's the least opportunity for there to be, you know, interference, or for something to be lost in translation, or for a corporation to get in there and and meddle. When I live in other places, there's so many other people's ideas, and mostly corporate, being pummeled into your head. They know how to advertise to us. They know how, they've studied how the brain works, what the psychology is. And so anytime you have even any open real estate, it's immediately colonized by someone else's idea. I feel like living out here, constantly there's just green surrounding us.
We don't get advertised.
For like a beautiful apple tree saying, here, look at my, come spread my seed. You know, there's that room kind of for creative, original thought. If the body is an organic system, then it's correlating to environmental, environmental concerns. You know, if you are concerned with and you work with the body, you are working in the environment. The same principles are operating, that the same principles that govern ecology govern your body. The way that we interact with our environment, you know, and that becomes the only reality, and our bodies get left behind. And that feeling of being alien in your own body, how to turn that, how to tune that